My dear students, would you like to be a medical detective? I have no doubt that you would love to. So, welcome to the enthralling world of forensic medicine. I am sure you must have watched TV serials like CID and CSI during your childhood. Also, you must have marveled how easily the forensic doctor, as Dr. Salunke in the CID, gathers various clues and helps in solving murder mysteries in the blink of an eye. You might have even been fascinated by all those tidbits. And by that, I mean you would have been awed how such a tiny and trivial clue could lead to the unraveling of the whole case. But whatever you have seen on the screen is far from reality. In fact, it's just the contrast. It really is much more difficult to collect, analyze, interpret and correlate those tiny little clues which help in the crime investigation. So, let me lead you through the wilderness of these complexities which will aid in the better understanding of the subject. I extend my hand forth in taking you on a journey through the maze of deep prudence of forensic medicine, retaining the ground realities and viewing the myriads of blossoms of forensic intricacies. So now let us start with the introduction of the subject and its allied branches. The learning outcome of this particular chapter will be the significance of forensic medicine, the history and development of the forensic medicine, as well as the current standing of forensic medicine. It is important to understand first the literal meaning of the word forensic medicine, and then we gradually take the deeper insight into the various aspects of this immensely interesting branch of medical science. The word forensic has been derived from the Latin word forensis, which literally means something related to a forum. In ancient Roman times, the forums were the meeting places for the people of responsibility where all the civic and legal matters were discussed upon and various problems were solved. The word forensic means specifically any issues pertaining to the court of law. And as you all know, the word medicine has got a very wide implication when used next to the word forensic, relating to using of the vast medical knowledge in solving medico-legal problems like finding out the exact cause of death or time since death, etc. Thus, to summarize, we can say the forensic medicine is the branch of medical sciences which deals with the application of medical knowledge to aid in the administration of justice. Previously, this forensic medicine was also known as medical jurisprudence, although that is a misnomer. The word jurisprudence has arose from the word jurisprudentia. The juris means law and the prudentia means knowledge, thereby meaning the study or knowledge or the science of law. To define the forensic medicine, it is an application of the medical and paramedical knowledge for the purpose of law, both civil and criminal matters, for example, in cases of assault, vehicular accidents, the rape, wherever any medico-legal situation arises. In recent times, as the society is advancing, there are so many cases of litigation are also coming up, especially against the doctors. So all these cases where any issue of medical negligence is also there, that is dealt under this particular branch of the forensic medicine. The forensic expert is able to give the opinion whether the said injuries are due to the vehicular accident or not. If we take the example of a vehicular accident, the duration of the injuries, the nature of the injuries and ultimately the cause of death. Likewise, if we take the example of any sexual offense, the forensic medicine expert is able to give opinion whether the sexual act has been committed or not, the duration and the type of injuries, which ultimately helps to the court of law for understanding various intricacies so that court can solve all those issues and accordingly the culprit can be punished. The forensic expert not only expertises in his own field but uses the knowledge of other branches of medical sciences to solve the problems related to forensic medicine. For example, while doing post-mortem in cases of sudden death due to medical and surgical procedures, criminal abortions and all related things. Whereas the medical jurisprudence, this deals with the legal responsibilities of the physician with particular reference to those arising from the doctor-patient relationships, such as the medical negligence cases, the ethical conducts on the part of a doctor, professional misconduct, etc. To be precise, it deals with the legal aspects of the practice of medicine. If we go into the little bit history of the medical jurisprudence, it was in 1807 at the University of Edinburgh where this Andrew Duncan Jr. occupied, who was a Scottish physician at the University of Edinburgh. He imposed British statesman Charles James Fox. Forensic medicine was also termed as state medicine, which was recommended by Dr. Stanford Emerson in 1949, who is also called as father of hygiene and health education in America. And this was primarily developed to regulate and guide the code of conduct of registered medical practitioners and to supervise the allied medical practice. Sometimes even the terminology legal medicine has also been applied, especially in US and other parts of the world. The medical ethics, that is another term related with the subject. This deals with the moral principles which should guide members of the medical professions in their dealing with each other, their patients and the state. Another term which is synonymous and simultaneously used with the medical ethics is the medical etiquette, which basically deals with the conventional laws of the courtesy observed between the members of the medical profession. This is a self-imposed behavior of the doctor toward his colleagues, and such is not punishable in the criminal code, but there are certain mechanisms like the regulatory bodies like Medical Council of India, the state medical councils. If the doctor is found guilty of you can say unethical behavior by any means, he will be punished not in a criminal manner, but in other ways, like his punishment in the form of, suppose, the standard eraser, the penal eraser, that means the temporary striking of his name from the medical state medical register where the doctor is registered, or there may be, if the offense is grave, there may be permanent eraser, that what we called as professional death sentence, that can also be awarded by the respective state medical councils. However, then it is implied that the doctor should behave with his colleagues in a way he should behave with himself and should not demean or degrade a fellow professional while dealing with the patient. Now coming on to the historical perspective of the forensic medicine, that how this branch of forensic medicine developed over a period of time in the world. If you go into the history of the forensic medicine, the eternal bond between the legal medicine and the world history can be traced back even before the Christ, and how they influenced the history not only in India but also worldwide. At about 7th century before Christ, the Charak Samhita elaborately described regarding the code of the medical ethics, training duties, social status and privileges of a physician, including description of various poisons and the possible treatment. Even in the earliest literature, the word mithya has been used to describe the negligent treatment and has been used in the Charak Samhita to describe the same. Shushu Samhita, that is another masterpiece from the Indian literature, Indian medical literature. They used the word mithyopachara to describe improper conduct on the part of the physician. The Manu Smriti, another landmark book in the field of medicine from India, was laid down in the 4th century before Christ by the king Manu himself, upon which the book is named on his name itself. And he was considered as the lawgiver, where various laws were described, including the punishment for offences like sexual assault. Manu Smriti even recognized mental incapacity due to alcohol intoxication or old age or insanity. The Manu Smriti, the Kautilya's Arthashastram, the Yajnavalkya Smriti, they also have described the compensation given to a victim in a case of medical negligence as high as 1000 panas. The panas are equivalent at that time to the silver coins. So you can understand that how much the importance was laid on these aspects. The Kautilya's Arthashastra defined various torture guidelines and the methods of torture of a convict as well as regulation of the medical practice. So that has been already defined very well, very beautifully in the Indian literature itself. If we dwell into the further details of this history, in fact, India's Machiavelli, he described numerous topics including dark occult arts, foreign policies, all those. The name of Imhotep, who was the Grand Wazir, the Chief Justice and the Chief Physician of King Djoser of Egypt, and way back during 27th century before Christ, and he is considered as a shining example because of his enacted rules for the medical practice. In fact, the oldest medico-legal code goes as far back as 2200 BC and is described under the Code of Hammurabi. In Jewish tradition, the dead bodies were respected and they believed in the fact that handling a dead body makes a man unclean for many days. The emphasis was therefore given on the prompt and respectful burial of the dead body. Laws were implemented by the rabbis who forbid post-mortem dissection of the body. But however, as per the records, at around year 100, the students of Rabbi Ismail, they obtained the body of a young harlot and boiled off the tissue in order to count the number of bones present in the body. The autopsies were not permitted in the Orthodox Jewish community until the very late 20th century when Knesset, the Israeli parliament, passed law permitting autopsy under a strict limited condition. If we go into the history of medico-legal autopsy, the first medico-legal autopsy was done in the state of Bologna, that is in Italy, in year as back as year 1302 by Bartolomeo di Varignana. And the first book on forensic medicine was published in 16th century by an Italian physician Fortunato Fedele. But it was the Paolo Giacchias who was the principal physician to Pope Innocent X, Alexander VII, and an expert before the Rota Romana, the Court of Appeal. His works are considered the greatest, and these are described in the Vademecum Questions Medico-Legales, and this was published in 7 volumes spanning over a period of 1621 to 1635, along with 2 additional volumes published afterwards in 1666 at Amsterdam. Until the beginning of 19th century, his works were considered to be pioneer, and that's why Paolo Giacchias is considered as father of legal medicine as well as father of forensic psychiatry. Around this end of 16th century, autopsies were generally practiced in medico-legal cases, and in 18th century professorships were founded in the legal medicine by the state of Germany at that time. In India, the first recorded medico-legal autopsy was done by Dr. Edward Bulkley on the afternoon of 28th August 1693 over the dead body of Mr. Wheeler, who was a member of council and Chief Justice of Chowdhury in Chennai. Presently, at that time it used to be the Madras. India's first medical school was established in Kolkata in the year 1822, and the same was afterwards converted into a medical college in 1835, where simultaneously there was a formation of Madras Medical College as well. In 1857, that is just after a year of the first independence war, that was in 1856, the first chair of Professor of Medical Jurisprudence was established in Madras Medical College itself. The history of forensic medicine remains incomplete without involving toxicology, as it is one of the widely studied sub-branch of the subject. In fact, the name of the subject itself, if you study in the medical during their MBBS course, the subject itself is called as forensic medicine and toxicology. Primitive man was aware of natural poisons from animals and plants. It was widely used by them on his weapons as an arrow poison. The early history of poisons is described in Indian Shastras, Egyptian papyrus, Sumerian, Babylonian, Hebrew and Greek records. Menes Pharaoh I, around 3000 BC before Christ, he is said to have studied many poisons. The Eber Papyrus around 1500 BC, this contains information extending back many centuries. Atharva Veda, our own from India, that is around 1500 BC, they described poisons in much detail. And the Italians brought the art of poisoning to its zenith prior to the Renaissance period and extended into that period. Now coming on to the development of forensic medicine in India, how this subject of forensic medicine evolved in our country. If we go into the history of the development, the first medical school was established in Calcutta in year 1822 and that was later rehabilitated into a medical college in the year 1835. Following medical schools established in Madras in 1835, they were afterwards transformed into a medical college in 1850. In Bombay, first medical college was established in the year 1850 and in year 1857 the first distinct lead in the medical jurisprudence was created in Madras Medical College itself. Governor Lord Harris selected Dr. Urguhart, a private practitioner and coroner of Madras, as the first professor. Among the former professors were Dr. Mauth, Dr. John Moses of Calcutta Medical College, Dr. A. Porter and Lieutenant D.G. Roy of Madras Medical College and Major Collis Berry of the Grant Medical College, Bombay at that time. The books that were followed were at that time were brought from England. The popular English author books were the Taylor's Principle and Practice of Medical Jurisprudence and Casper's Medical Jurisprudence at that time. The first book for India was written in 1856 by Dr. Norman Shavers. The other prominent books written in 1888 by Dr. I.B. Leon named Medical Jurisprudence for India, Outlines of Medical Jurisprudence by Lieutenant Colonel P. Hanir and J.D. Greibel in year 1889. The Legal Medicine in India and Toxicology by Major Collis Berry in 1902. Our own Dr. Jai Singh P. Modi, he is the pioneer of forensic medicine in India. He was a lecturer at Agra Medical College. Later on he shifted to the King George Medical College, Lucknow in year 1918 and he was a leading medico-legal expert. In true sense, he is the father of Indian forensic medicine. Dr. Modi wrote a book, that is Textbook of Medical Jurisprudence and Toxicology, which was published in year 1920 and the book still turns out to be the widely held not only with the medical student but also very popular among the lawyer and judges. In fact, that is the book which has been usually used as a reference book by all the judges and lawyers in the country still. The British rulers afterwards codified the criminal law in year 1833 and the present Indian Penal Code, that is IPC, this came into existence in year 1860 after the mutiny and superseded all previous laws. The Criminal Procedure Code came into force from year 1861. These laws are still followed today as well. The procedure for crime investigation was outlined by the introduction of Indian Police Act of 1861 and the coroner system by the Indian Coroners Act in 1871. The coroner system was followed in the cities of Kolkata, Bombay and Madras, whereas the rest of the country followed the police system. However, nowadays the coroner system has been abolished from the whole country since year 1999. So nowadays we only have got either the police inquest system, or in the rare circumstances or specified circumstances we do have magistrate inquest system, which is again nothing but basically a police inquest system primarily. The practice of modern medicine was first regulated by the formation of provincial medical councils in year 1912, according to which the medical practitioners were required to register themselves in the respective state medical councils. In year 1916, the Indian Medical Degrees Act was passed to recognize the qualification from recognized institution and to penalize persons having false certificates to practice the medicine. The Indian Medical Council Act was passed in the year 1933, and the Indian Medical Council was established to control the state medical councils and to regulate infirmity in medical education throughout the country. One of the greatest contribution India has made to the modern criminology is dactylography, or the fingerprint system for the personal identification. Now coming on to the branches of forensic medicine, as every day we are progressing, the science is progressing, so is the case with the forensic medicine. Previously, when the subject was started, it was basically carved out from the subject of pathology itself, but then gradually it has developed into a more and more robust subject, and now they have got so many sub branches as well. Basically, the forensic pathology, that is the synonymously used term as forensic medicine, although that's a misnomer in India, because in India that is not a pathology. But yes, to understand the subject, we can say that it deals with the morbid anatomy, pathology of the injury and different aspects of death with their medico-legal significance. Forensic psychiatry is a very interesting branch where legal aspects of mental disorders are studied, and all those issues, if the person has committed offense and if at that time he was suffering from mental illness, whether he is guilty of committing that offense or not, all these intricate issues are dealt under that branch of forensic psychiatry. The forensic odontology is where the ability of the knowledge of dentistry that is undertaken when the question of identification and interpretation of bite mark arises. A number of factors are found in the teeth that are utilized for identification purposes. Forensic anthropology, it studies the bodily shape and skeleton formation in the legal sense and also for the identification purposes. The branch of forensic science, that's altogether different branch, nothing to do with the forensic medicine, but synonymously it is used as a complementary discipline of the forensic medicine. In the present time, this is mainly occupied by the non-medical scientists, mainly a biologist or a chemist or a toxicologist or even a physicist, nowadays the cyber experts as well, who deals with the criminal aspects of crime investigations. There is a strong link between the forensic medicine experts and forensic scientists, as the former collects the evidences during the medico-legal autopsy or while examining living persons, whereas the latter carries out the test and helps in giving the opinion. Therefore, both these branches are complementary to each other. Now, coming on to the contemporary prominence of these subjects. Over the past decades, because of the advancement in technology, knowledge and science, the field of forensic medicine has ventured into more intricate areas like forensic pathology, forensic odontology, forensic traumatology, forensic toxicology, clinical forensic medicine, forensic anthropology, forensic nursing, forensic engineering, ballistics, forensic psychiatry and many more. Every second day, forensic biotechnology, where the advent of the DNA, that is a whole branch which is now in the process of developing. Presently in India as well, teaching of forensic medicine has improved over the years with the establishment and accomplishment of more number of forensic medicine departments in various medical colleges and increase in the number of postgraduate courses, thereby bringing forth many talented and dedicated forensic medicine specialists. In India, now we are having almost more than 300 medical colleges, and almost in 200 medical colleges there is a post graduation in the forensic medicine. So every day there are hundreds of forensic medicine postgraduates who are coming out every day in the field. To sum up, I can say that forensic medicine is nothing but an exercise and application of common sense along with the medical knowledge, observation and the legal aspects, thereby convincing the medico-legist to come to a conclusion so that he can aid in the administration of justice. To summarize the learning outcome of this first module, the introductory module, we can say the forensic medicine is the branch of medical sciences which deals with the application of medical and paramedical knowledge to aid in the administration of justice, or in a very simplified manner we can say the branch which deals with the medical aspects of law. Whereas the medical jurisprudence, this deals with the legal responsibilities of the physician with particular reference to those arising from the doctor-patient relationship, such as medical negligence cases, ethical conducts on the part of a doctor, professional misconducts. That is, basically this branch deals with the legal aspects of medicine and state medicine. Sometimes even the terminology legal medicine also has been applied while describing forensic medicine in various parts of the world and country. The first medical school was established in Calcutta in year 1822, which was later converted into a medical college in 1835. The practice of modern medicine was first regulated by the formation of provincial medical councils in 1912, according to which the medical practitioners were required to register themselves in the respective state medical councils, and afterwards in 1933 the Medical Degrees Act, Indian Medical Degrees Act came into existence. The field of forensic medicine has ventured into more intricate areas like forensic pathology, forensic odontology, forensic anthropology, forensic nursing, forensic engineering, ballistics, forensic psychiatry, clinical forensic medicine and forensic biotechnology, etc. Forensic medicine is nothing but an exercise and application of common sense along with the medical knowledge, observation and legal aspects, thereby convincing the medico-legist to come to a conclusion so that he can aid in the administration of justice. The greatest contribution from India to world of forensics is dactylography, that is the fingerprinting, which is of immense help in crime investigation.